Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Look Like Me podcast. I am Ünal Zeray. In today's episode, I will read a text that I previously published on my blog. This episode focuses on migration, radical ideologies, public safety, democracy, human rights, and the responsibilities of European governments. The views expressed here are my personal opinions. The criticism in this episode is directed at radicalism, extremism, criminal behavior, and anti-democratic political movements, not at ordinary people who live peacefully and respect human rights. Now, let's begin. In recent years, a significant number of migrants have come to Europe, especially Britain, through migration or illegal routes. At first, many of these people who came fleeing persecution, the Taliban, Hezbollah, the Iranian Islamic regime, the war in Syria, and instability in North African countries, were welcomed with kindness and understanding. It was thought that they had been victims of the conditions in their own countries and would not create problems here, so they were granted asylum or migration rights. However, there is another side to this situation. During my own journey through Europe, I met a number of migrants from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Morocco, Iran, and Libya who were trying to reach Europe by various routes, some on foot, some through other illegal means. Some paid a great deal of money for this. Many others crossed largely on foot or through border areas with minimal means. I had the chance to speak with a number of them, at least those who spoke English. Among this small group I spoke with, several described themselves, in their own words, as Taliban members or sympathizers, and expressed the firm belief that European people were destined for hell. What struck me was the contradiction in this. Despite holding this belief, they were trying to live, work, and build their futures with the support of the very countries, democracies, and people they described as harem or damned. I want to be clear that this was a limited, personal sample of people I happened to encounter, not a claim about Afghans, Pakistanis, Moroccans, Iranians, or Libyans as a whole, the majority of whom are not affiliated with any extremist movement. What I am describing is a specific radical, extremist mindset, one that exists among a minority within these migrant populations. Drawing on the verses these radical interpreters cite from the Quran as justification, including verses that call for the killing of non-believers, the subjugation of women, and the treatment of non-Muslim communities and their property as spoils, certain radical Islamist preachers and movements built an ideology that, in their reading, treats violence, domination, and hostility toward non-believers as religiously sanctioned. I am not saying that every Muslim reads these verses this way or acts on them. I am saying that a radical, literalist current exists, draws on these specific verses, and uses them to justify real-world harm. This is what concerns me and what I believe should concern European governments. Today, in Britain and elsewhere in Europe, we see specific radical Islamist preachers, organizations, and networks publicly calling for Sharia law to replace democratic and legal systems in a country that is itself one of the founders of modern democracy. These specific radical actors, not Muslims as a whole, treat the laws and norms of the society that hosted them as illegitimate, while continuing to live within it and rely on its institutions. This is not the only consequence. In some neighborhoods, radical Islamist groups and self-appointed religious enforcers have created real problems for ordinary people's safety and freedom, treating the wider society around them as harem while treating their own actions as permitted, intimidating residents, harassing women, and restricting the freedoms of young people. This creates legitimate social tension. And when media coverage further inflames this by exaggerating or sensationalizing specific cases of abuse and assault linked to these groups, that tension naturally escalates, sometimes spilling into public unrest. What governments and states need to do in response is clear. Intelligence and security services already know who these radicalized individuals are. If the political will existed, the people identified as radical, extremist, or involved in criminal activity could be removed from the country in short order. They have the tools to act against those individuals specifically, the ones who incite violence, who organize outside the law, or who reject the basic rights and freedoms of the society around them. What is missing is not information, but the will to act on it. If this is not addressed, the situation will continue to grow and it will become a genuine risk to public safety, while also making life harder for the much larger number of people who sought asylum in good faith because their lives were genuinely at risk. acting precisely against those who are radical, criminal, and hostile to basic human rights and democratic norms, rather than treating entire communities with suspicion, is what protects the public and the genuine refugees alike. This is, in my view, a responsibility European governments need to take seriously. This was today's episode of the Look Like Me podcast. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode meaningful, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. I am Ünal Zeray. See you in the next episode.